Back in the early 90s, we were looking at adding another women's sport here at Penn State. We wanted it to be a team sport, and in looking at the growth of women's soccer throughout the country, and looking at the growth of women's soccer in the state of Pennsylvania at schools and in clubs and in the surrounding areas, women's soccer seemed to make all the sense in the world to us. I think anytime you start a new program, the key becomes the coaching staff you're going to get, because we wanted to hit the ground running. We wanted to be successful. So we looked at who was going to be a perfect fit for Penn State. It had to be somebody that we felt was a teacher that would promote the academic and athletic excellence of Penn State and who believed in the Penn State philosophy. With recruiting, we knew we needed somebody that had some national credentials, who a lot of the elite players would know the name of. And Pat Farmer was an applicant for us at that time. He'd had a very successful career at Ithaca and with the U.S. teams. So we looked at everything across the board, and he seemed to be the perfect fit for us at that time.
Putting it together at the beginning was the reason for taking the job. I thought, ooh, you get a chance to start something when they were just starting in the Big Ten. First thing was trying to find an assistant coach. I wanted somebody young and who could play, and I thought it was going to be a lot of teaching involved, and so I wanted somebody that could demonstrate and play and had a good mind. They sort of fought the idea that I would hire someone young, but we actually hired Paula Wilkins, and she was still in school. So I had to wait for her to graduate in May, and so from January to May I was here by my lonesome getting players and setting stuff up and recruiting and that. So it was not quite a one-man operation for a while, but until you got kids here on campus and they could meet some other people, it was pretty much me sort of convincing them to come and then talking to Paula on the phone.
For me, the opportunity to coach at Penn State coming out of college and having the opportunity to come back to my home state and be part of building a team and a culture at Penn State was thrilling. I don't think I realized what a great opportunity I had gotten at the time because of my youth. I was just excited to stay a part of soccer, and I kind of came in guns a-blazing, not knowing anything different than what I had come from playing. And it was a great opportunity because for me, Coach Farmer was the best mentor I could ever have as a coach. He gave me a lot of responsibilities right off the bat, and even if I didn't know what I was doing, he trusted me to move the program in the right direction.
Certainly at the beginning, the inspiration here for the players was kids were coming to a place that would compete right off the bat. And I thought that was our focus for recruiting here, that you'd sell the school and the program's potential.
I think anytime you're recruiting to a new program, nobody knows what to expect. If there's good players already there, a lot of players are confident that they'll have good players around them. So finding the players who were a little different, who wanted to change the program. In those early years, they really built the foundation of what was going to happen to the future.
Back when I was being recruited, there were two things that stuck out in my mind right away, and it was the people and the mentality. I just felt like everyone was genuine. Obviously, the soccer was really, really important to me, and I remember basically looking at the rankings and kind of picking top teams to kind of play for, and I remember looking at Penn State and thinking, these players have it. They're almost there. They're right there. They're knocking at the door. And I remember thinking, if I go there, these are the players that I want to play with and/or emulate. So for me, it was an easy sell. It just felt like home.
Growing up, blue-collar work ethic, I felt like Penn State had the culture that really fit who I was as an individual. I feel like I'm a strong part of the history, and it's important for me throughout my whole life to know that I was a part of building something that was greater after I'd left.
There's so many things that you can kind of think back on with our coaches. Obviously, I had 2 years with Pat Farmer as head coach, and then Paula Wilkins took over for 2 years, my last 2 years. We'd be in practice, and for whatever reason, Farmer inevitably just starts storming off in another direction. And he would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And every one of us would look around like, what do we do? And without fail, seamlessly, Paula would just step right in, and she would just start coaching like nothing happened. And Farmer would disappear for 10 to 15 minutes, blow off whatever steam he had to blow off, and he would turn around, and all of a sudden he'd be there again.
When I was leaving, bad career choice, but like anything else, I like the challenge. So the challenge in starting a whole new pro league, as well as a team, that was intriguing to me. But I told them at the time, I told the kids and the administration that the team will get better. Paula will do a better job than I did, and she did.
I was happy for Coach Farmer that he made the decision, but I was also scared to death because most importantly, I didn't want to let the school, the athletic department, or the players that there at the time down. So I put a lot of thought into the decision. I actually remember that I thought I can't do this unless I have the backing of the players. I think I was 27 years old at the time. And I went to Joanna Lohman and said, are we going to do this? And she said yes. And I think that was the moment I decided I was going to take the job because I knew if Joanna had my back that we would be successful.
You know, at the end of the day, that's the reason why we play this sport, is to create bonds and to create connections with people that have you know, similar interests and build friendships that will last a lifetime.
She didn't continue what I was doing. She built on that. She got them to go back to rec hall. They felt more connected with the players. I'm really happy that she did so well. I think sort of underappreciated maybe the impact that she had on the program right from the get-go. And I'm happy that my prediction that they do better once I left, that came to fruition also.
Well, the foundation was built, so because of the success, we were able to recruit even better players, and it kind of built onto it. But the biggest thing we prided ourselves on was that we were able to develop players there, and all those players bought into it. But by spending that time with them, we felt we built relationships with them, and again, those relationships, I think, carried on to our success on the field.
For a couple of years leading up to when the job opened, I would see Paula Wilkins on the road and would mention to her, hey, you know, let me know when that job opens up. Let me know when you're thinking about moving on. When I arrived at Penn State, you know, I had a lot of ideas. I was walking into a program that was incredibly successful, but obviously you want to make it your own. And so immediately hired Ann Cook, called her up, she was at Nebraska, hired Ann Cook, my closest friend and somebody I knew I could trust, and I wanted to build this program with. And you know, after a couple months, we started to look at the record books and noticed that, you know, Coach Farmer had taken this program in 1994, and then just 4 years later, they started winning Big Ten championships and just didn't stop. They just got this program rolling, and then on to Coach Wilkins. And you know, at that point, our first thought was, let's try to screw this thing up.
Erica is so talented, and she's such an incredible leader, and she's a great fit for Penn State, Penn State's values, and she's such a tremendous role model.
I love playing for Coach Dombach. She's probably my favorite coach I've ever been coached by. She is a role model as a woman, as a mom, just as a person. I love who she is and how she carries herself. She demands a lot out of you as a player, which I love. She pushes me to be better, but she also allows me to be free in who I am. And I think that's very unique in a top-level coach. So I look forward to training with Coach every day and just to being around her and the coaching staff.
I think this is the best staff in the country in terms of, I've got 4 head coaches on our staff, and 4 head coaches that love to work together, that enjoy the environment that we've created, that banter, that differ in opinions, but walk out a united front. And that's what makes this place so special for us. 2010 came along, and we had put a string of Big Ten titles together, and came down to the final match against Michigan, and we actually had to win the match in order to win the Big Ten title. We were having a ton of success in the final third. We were getting chances. We were just near misses, hitting the post, and the game goes into overtime. We are in, I think, the 110th minute of the game. We're tied at the time. We have to win in order to win the Big Ten title. Ball pops out to Carly Dennis. She just takes a chance, lobs the ball in the box. There's kind of some pandemonium. I think Allie Schaefer gets a toe on it. Taylor Schramm tears off in excitement, and you know, celebrating the goal. I see Schramm and everybody just kind of dog piles on the field, and that was the 2010 title, coming down to the wire in the last seconds to win that game.
I feel very honored to just be part of this team. You know, it's definitely a responsibility to keep that tradition alive of excellence, and we have this quote, we say we play play for those who came before you. And I think it's the same concept. It's playing for Penn State, but it's such an honor, such a responsibility, and it's our duty to just go out there and fight, just fight for that tradition.
One of the things that my mentors have told me in the game is that you've kind of got to experience the moments before you can have success in the moments. And at that point, I'm not sure I really recognized that or could feel that myself. Until that 2012 tournament, it was a dream season. It was a thrill. We went out to San Diego and we played Florida State in that semifinal match. Again, another game that we're up a goal going into the last minutes of the game, and they get an equalizer with a minute left, and you think, wow, God, all the momentum has just shifted in Florida State's favor. We go to the sideline, and as a coaching staff, we started to regroup, and we look over, and there is Maddie Evans and Christine Nairn and Rocky and Schramm and Hayes kind of in the middle of a circle, in their teammates' faces, kind of pointing at them going, there is absolutely no way that we're walking off this field anything less than winners in this game. And sure enough, they just grabbed the team, Maddie Evans, put the team on her back and said, this is our game, we're going after it. And you know, a few minutes into overtime period, Christine buries one in the back of the net. And again, that was the Penn State spirit. That was that blue-collar feeling that all Penn Staters talk about, but it doesn't just come. You've got to make that happen. And then we advanced to the final against Carolina, and their depth was just too much for us. They ended up taking that game in the second half. But it was a great learning lesson. I think one of the biggest takeaways we had was kind of how to manage the whole weekend, how to manage the excitement of the win on Friday, how to deal with even family being there and press, and that's just not something that women's soccer players are necessarily used to. So in 2015, there was definitely a shift in the feeling within the team. This was a team that was pretty professional in their behavior in terms of the way they carried themselves, the way they trained. But something happened when the NCAA rolled around that you just felt even more, everything ramped up even just a little bit more. They just took over the team. And that's your goal as a coach, is to get to the point where you can turn the team over to your leaders and they will just, they'll carry it and they'll hold the standard, they'll uphold the standard. And you talk about accountability year after year, but then in that moment in 2015 in the NCAA tournament was where I saw players hold each other accountable more than I've ever seen in the past.
The moment where I kind of knew like we have a chance to win it all was after we beat West Virginia in the Elite Eight on Jeffrey Field. We had a great game as a team, and that was kind of the point where we all like looked at each other and we were like, we can do it, we can win it all.
After we beat West Virginia on our field and then we went to the Final Four, it was a huge moment. That was a big game and the first time I've ever been on the stage of the Final Four, but we had incredible leaders and they just made you feel so confident.
We started that run in the NCAA tournament, and I watched our defense just get better and better as we went. And obviously we had put a string of regular season games together and a great performance, but that defense just tightened up, and the confidence that came from Britt Eckerstrom being in goal and just the defensive unit as a whole. We went through that entire NCAA run without giving up a goal, and obviously that's going to give you a ton of confidence.
Going in, playing Duke, obviously you respect them a lot, but I think our preparation for every single game, the coaches always talk about process and taking it one step at a time. So when we had the opportunity to play for national championship against Duke, it was the same deal. No one was too tense or anything like that. Again, the leaders gave us such confidence, so everybody was joking around, smiling, going into warm-up, and then we just turned it on like we always did.
So the Duke game, the national championship game in 2015 was a game that you could write a book on, just a game within a game. You know, there were so many ebbs and flows. We would be in possession, we'd be moving the ball around them, we'd break free, we'd get a chance, and then it would go in Duke's favor. We'd be on our heels, we'd be scrambling a little bit. Our leaders would step up, Rocky would step up, Mal Weber would step up, Britt Eckerstrom would kind of look at the team and be like, hey, we're okay. And then about the 65th minute or so, when both teams started to fatigue, you started to see what the 15 team was all about, and that was grit. And that was something that I felt was different between us and Duke. Both teams had great soccer, great players, good leaders, but the grit in the 15 team was what allowed that team to win. And so in those last few minutes of Duke, ball goes out wide into Mal Weber. She's streaking down the right flank. Rocky gets into the box. Mal puts a ball across to Rocky. Rocky's back to goal. It was a moment that I think we trained every single week in a training exercise we call punishers. So the ball goes into the player in the box. They've got defenders on their back. They spin the defender and get a strike on goal. And that exact moment presented itself with a few minutes left in the national championship game. And who better for it to be with than Raquel Rodriguez, the Herman Trophy winner that year. Rocky turns, she buries it, and then once she went up 1-0, I looked out on the field and I thought, wow, now we've got to hold off Duke. And then I looked down the field and I go, we're going to hold off Duke.
So many emotions. Yeah, I mean, so much excitement, laughter, but it was also a lot of focused energy after that point because we knew we still had some good time left in the game. So it was an incredible goal, incredible moment, and one that I'll remember forever.
So what made 2015 so different and so special? And Ann Cook and I have talked about this every time. We had a vision for when we came into this program, and that was success with honor. And that was, we wanted to win championships, we wanted to win national championships, but there was only one way in our mind, and that was appreciating all 26 or however many student athletes you have on your team and helping the 26th player in terms of minutes feel as invested as your Herman Trophy winner. And that moment when the team lifted the trophy and I looked out at Teddy Chase, who was that senior that had not been out on the field but was as invested as anybody on the team, and she's holding that trophy high above her head, and the smile on her face tells you everything, that she knew that she had just as much of an impact on that season, on that championship, as Raquel Rodriguez, as Britt Eckerstrom. And everybody in that circle knew that Teddy had the same impact, that Kendra Coney, that those players that potentially don't get as many minutes, but they're the heart and soul of that team and the heart and soul of our program. That's the way that we try to run the Penn State women's soccer program. And for me, that was the pinnacle of my time here at Penn State, not because I was holding the trophy up, but because I was looking around the circle and looking at the faces of the players on that team. And each one of them knew that their role had been important, that their role and the way that they played their role was the reason that we were holding that trophy high above our heads.
There's so many things I think that you can think about when you talk about Penn State and what mark it left on me. You ask anybody and it's just kind of a special feeling. There's no describable way to kind of put words into how you feel or what it means to be part of the Penn State family. I think all of us kind of know it's just this feeling that we have and this passion, this love for something that's really bigger than us.
I am extremely proud to be a member of the Penn State family. I'm really grateful, and I want to honor that every day and be my very best self to put that forward, because it's all about being a great person, an ambassador for the school, and a player, and so I want to represent that every day to the best of my ability, and I'm extremely grateful to be a part of it.
You know, I was taught to work hard for everything that we got, and that still serves me today. You know, 14 years as a professional soccer player, I've really had to work for every single minute I've gotten on the field, and that I'm so proud of that, because I think that was something I learned and took from being a Penn State women's soccer player.
It's always an honor and it goes so fast, so just taking advantage of every moment that you have. There's a lot of incredible people that came before us, and there's going to be even more that come after us, so it's always an honor to be a part of the Penn State women's soccer family.